So we'll go through the categories, what won, and then we'll get into the announcements. Then we get into some of the drama that happened. But it was relatively kind of you said not really. I didn't watch the live show there of it, but you said not really. Usually some kind of cringe moment happens, but you said no, it's pretty good, pretty light show there.
Yeah,
Nothing really
yeah,
awkward
it really
happened.
was. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I was surprised by that. Generally, like nobody was rushed off stage, and no one went on for way too long.
Nobody was played
Uh,
off or anything like that.
Nobody was played off. Well, they always have the Muppets. One of the Muppets, right? Every year. This time they had Waldorf and Statler, right? The old guys that hate whatever they're looking at. And I liked that because a lot of what they said was like what I said, what you said, what a lot of people said, based on last year's show and how they were like pushing people off, and they didn't really talk about how many layoffs had happened because it was big, that last year was big for that too. A lot of the criticisms people had of the show, the Muppets were kind of voicing. I appreciated that. I thought that was fun, and clearly they at least is some acknowledgement of their past.
How long is this bozo gonna go on?
Well, that's what I've been asking for the last 10 years.
Oh!
Hey guys, yeah, up here,
Yeah?
host. Yeah, we're we can hear you.
Oh, good. Can you hear this? Boo!
Yeah, please wrap it up.
Statler and Waldorf, everybody. It's the last thing we need tonight. Listen, fellas, if you don't mind, we have a lot of people here in the audience waiting to see the show.
Yeah. Speaking of a lot of people, why isn't this theater full, huh?
Yeah, we heard you always sell out.
Oh, get 'em.
All right.
Oh, okay. They was kind of getting them pretty good. Oh, okay.
They did. They got him a few times. There's another moment where they pointed out Kojima in the audience, and they were making fun of that. He's like, "Oh, he's good friends with Jeff Keighley." Yeah, but does Kojima know that?
Oh, let me see. Let me find that Kojima joke there.
They were ripping him pretty good. I thought that was. I appreciated that a lot. I thought that led to for me that made it clear that they were at least acknowledging what they had kind of messed up on in previous years, or what things that they had done that were just either too corporate or too like playing people off and whatnot. It felt like a nice acknowledgement of that.
Yeah. Let me see. I think this is the Kojima joke right here. Let me see.
There's Kojima. Look. Did you know that Jeff Keighley's friends with him?
Yeah, but does Kojima know that?
But damn, he holding in that laugh, and he like, damn. But then again, I mean, Kojima doesn't even speak English. Does he? He probably doesn't even understand.
He doesn't speak very much English, but he does understand it.
Oh, okay.
Like he can hear it, and he knows what's being said. He doesn't speak it very fluently. I think he did once, and people made fun of him, and he just kind of was like, I'm just not going to speak English at big events or in public anymore.
Okay. But yeah, it looked like he was holding in that laugh pretty hard. Huh? He was like, damn, he's swallowing that laugh. Jeez. Oh man.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some of these winners here. We're gonna go to the big categories, and yeah. So sorry, best esports team. We're gonna skip over that real quick there. Unless I know, Sage, you're big into the esports, aren't you, man? You're big esports.
Am I? Have I? Is that the picture I painted of myself?
Let's see here. So best esports game. We got content creator. Most anticipated game. Let's start with there. So this is
That's still a weird award to me because it's not like an accomplishment that a game has actually achieved. It's what are people hyped about?
So of course the obvious winner of this was going to be Grand Theft Auto 6. Obviously that's pretty much big one. That's the one that I voted for.
I figured it would win. When I voted for Ghost of Yotei. But to be honest, except for the Monster Hunter game, I've just never been into that franchise. all four of those are some of the games I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. So shout out to Grand Theft Auto 6 there. I think they said they might delay it, that it might not come out in 2026. They might delay it another year. I think I heard possibility of that.
Yeah, I mean it's possible for sure. I mean it's such a big game. At the same time, they've been working on it for a long time, like without announcing it, like way before they said something. So I don't know. I do think, if my memory serves me right, both Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 came out like right away. Like they announced it and then they were out. But to be fair, Grand Theft Auto 6 hasn't like actually given a release date yet. So even if it's like not coming out as soon as we are expecting it to,
Hmm.
they haven't even really delayed it because they haven't really told us when it's coming out anyway.
Yeah. They just kind of gave like a year, like 2026, not a really specific date or anything
Yeah.
like that. So you got that. Best adaptation. So this, your favorite thing won Fallout. Fallout.
Ugh.
Uh, so this was going up against Arcane, which Ella Purnell is also in. She voices Vi in that. This also had Knuckles, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and then Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. We all agreed it was probably between Fallout and Arcane. That's the two it was between, and Fallout ended up winning there. Kind of surprising. I thought Arcane would have more support of people who would go and vote for Arcane over Fallout.
I read a really good argument for why it isn't as good of an adaptation, which I thought was funny because everybody that recommends League of Legends or recommends Arcane to anyone else, the recommendation is always, "Oh, it's nothing like the game. You'll actually like it."
Mm.
Trust me, it's not. It's not like the game. It's actually good and interesting. So
Yeah. But, I mean, Fallout, I mean, a lot of people I mean, you were a fan of the game and you disliked the show quite a bit,
I think that the Fallout show is uh, closer to like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, which are games that I really, really dislike as well. So people that were fans of those games, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
did see it as a kind of in line with that series of games and those stories that Bethesda has told. I personally don't really care for that side of the games either. I like 1 and 2 in New Vegas, which are Black Isle Studios and Obsidian, and totally different writing teams.
Okay. So, yeah, you had that one, for Fallout there for best adaptation. Um, best multiplayer, did you wanna get into that or you wanna skip over that?
I don't. I guess I assume it's Helldivers that won that.
Yep, Helldivers
Yeah.
won. So Helldivers won that
Okay.
one. Let's see that one. Then you have best esports racing, best sports racing. Let's skip over that. Best sim. I don't really care about that. Best fighting game. I didn't hear about this one. Was Tekken 8. Obviously, Tekken 8 would win there.
I
Um,
didn't think anything else had a chance.
yeah. Well, maybe Dragon Ball. You don't think Dragon Ball had chance Sparking Zero?
I mean, I like that game, but it is going for a much more casual audience. Like there's a little more complexity to certain mechanics, like the counter system and stuff, and the teleport thing. But it's still a very, I'd say, overall simple version of a fighting game. It's an arena fighter. Tekken 8, even without, I haven't played Tekken 8. I just know based on previous Tekken games, it's going to have a lot. I mean, you got your combos, you got nice long tutorials that have involved like learning a whole bunch of different mechanics. I just don't think there was a real competition between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, because the competition here was multiverses. That's kind of a weaker game there. I mean, sometimes I have fun with multiverses. I turn it on every
I
now and
think it
then.
would have been a lot more fun without all the like microtransactions and stuff in it.
Yeah. You have this, which is I don't think this should be in the category. I think we talked about it. You have Marvel
Yeah,
vs.
that makes no
Capcom
sense.
collection.
It's
Are you
it's
like
great games, but they're old, and it's a collection of games. It's not a new game.
yeah. I mean, people were hyped about it. People were excited for it, but it's not a
I
new
was
game.
too. Yeah,
Not a new game. You have Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. So
that's the only one I truly just don't know anything about.
yeah, I've seen people play it. I've seen people
I
play
think
it.
it's the same studio that did Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Let's see here. You got best RPG. You got best action adventure. Let's do best action adventure. So Astrobot won best action adventure. Um, Seems like they should make a horror category because Silent Hill, I don't think probably fits in action adventure, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it was nominated in that category to begin with. That's a weird one.
But
Maybe it's because they just don't have a horror category. They were like, "What can we shove it in?"
but Astrobot's going to come up a little bit later if people know. So that's going to be coming up. And hey, that's going there, Ulysses. That's going there, man.
Hey, what's up, dude?
So that
And
best
Final
action.
Fantasy VII was best RPG too.
Final Fantasy. Oh yeah, let's see. We can go to best RPG then. Best RPG was. Oh, you love this game. Metaphor.
Oh, it wasn't Final Fantasy VII. Never mind. I remembered that wrong.
Yeah, it's this game. Yeah. Metaphor. Refantazo. You have that there. I heard a lot of great things
Yeah,
about it.
I
I heard
don't
the
get it.
story's pretty awesome. I know you and Ulysses. You
People
hate
love
the art style of the game. You really don't like it, but that.
Every anime that looks like that is an anime that I refuse to watch.
Mm. And it was going against Dragons Dogma 2, Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Tree, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth there. And then you guys see that angry Chinese Black Myth fans are review bombing everything.
I have
Uh,
seen that.
yeah, we're gonna get into that about the whole discussion about Game of the Year and the winner of that. But yeah, that was best RPG. Best action game. Speaking of Black Myth, Wukong was that. So that did.
Which means that it won a huge award for what it was too. So,
Yeah.
you know,
For the best
being
game
mad
in the
about it makes even less sense to me.
Yeah, for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. Yeah, I think Black Myth Wukong fits that. You got Stellar Blade that was nominated for with it as well. Call of Duty Black Ops 6,
It
Hell Dive.
it didn't have enough camel toe to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you saw right up Black Wukong's tank there with that one, so you did see that. You had Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 that was also nominated. But Black Myth ended up taking home best action game. Even though it was also nominated in Game of the Year category. Let's see what else we got here. Best VR, nah, that's okay. Best mobile game, that's all right. Best debut indie game. Let's see here. Balatro, that won best debut indie game there. So that was also nominated for Game of the Year. We kind of figured that since it was nominated for Game of the Year, that'll probably take home the best debut indie game. Um,
Yeah,
still have not played it yet. A lot of people talking about like when they heard it was nominated for the Game of the Year, actually did go and play it, and people were saying, "Hey, this is actually pretty fun. This is actually pretty good." So you
I
have
mean,
that.
fair enough. Card games are not necessarily my thing, but hey,
Uh, Best independent game, also Balatro. So you also have that one as well. Neva was the game you reviewed. Neva, yeah, that didn't win there. You were rooting for that
it
one.
did win another category, I believe.
Okay.
I forget which one it was, but it did win something.
Let's see. We got best ongoing, best community support. This is a game we also voted for here. Games for Impact. Neva won.
Oh, that's the one Naval one. Yeah.
Games
Okay.
for Impact. So we had that one. I voted for this one, Tales of Kanzera Zao there. But all great choices here. You get some great choices with this one as well. Games for Impact for a thought provoking game with a pro social meaning or message. So Neva did win there. Gorgeous game. Sage did a review for that. That review is coming up pretty soon on the channel there. So you got that. Innovation and accessibility. Uh, yeah, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown there. Um, I got to do some more research about the category. I don't know exactly what qualifies for that. So
Yeah, that one I don't know as much about for sure.
best performance. This was also one we were kind of invested in. The winner of this, Melina Jurgens for Sinuous Saga Hellblade 2. So there, you were rooting for Luke Roberts for Silent.
I was rooting for him.
I mean, you didn't play Hellblade 2 there, did you? Or
I didn't, not yet. But just from I watched a decent amount of stuff about it. I watched other people play it, and I read a lot of reviews for it. it seemed like people were pretty disappointed overall with that game. So I was surprised to really see it there in any capacity, to be honest.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, Luke Roberts, I mean, from I've only ever seen the cutscenes. I haven't seen the cutscenes, but he looked pretty strong in it. So there as well. Yeah. And he's the only man nominated in this. I just noticed that he's the only guy nominated
Yeah,
um, in this category. All right, best audio design here.
which
Sim-
I thought Silent Hill 2 would get that if it didn't get performance, but didn't get either.
yeah, that didn't get it either. You got best score in music there. I think you picked Final Fantasy 7 for best score in music. I think you picked that one, right?
I voted for Silent Hill for that one, and I still
Oh,
think I would do go with that over Final Fantasy. And it's not to put Final Fantasy 7 down either, because it is damn good, but I I don't know. I think Silent Hill 2 to me stands out more from the crowd.
yeah. Yeah, so did Silent Hill 2 got shut out though, right? That just got completely shut out though.
Yeah, it didn't win anything. Which I
Mhm.
mean, hey, like it's whatever. It's just an award show. It's not that big a deal, but it would have been cool just to see it get a little something.
Yeah. And hello, how are you, Shane? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated there. Let's see, best art direction there. This was Metaphor, Red Fantizo
Right.
there. Um, didn't you
Which
vote?
I
I think
said
you
I
voted for
think
Nevo or Black Myth, right?
I think I voted for Black Myth on this one. I thought Neva might win. Honestly, that game is just so beautiful looking. Yeah, again, main thing with about Metaphor Fantasio and why I'm got no interest in it is I just don't like the art style. So, but clearly a lot of people do. So can only say
Uh,
so much.
best narrative here. Metaphor Refantezo. I think so. That was kind of seems like the big winner of it. They won. They kind of did a lot of wins. The Metaphor Refantezo.
Yeah, beyond completely beyond me, but it did win quite a few.
I do hear a lot of people do love the story of the game. They say the story is pretty great there. With this story there. Then you also have best game direction, and this was Astrobot, which won this one. Um, so yeah, and then getting into the big category here, the best picture.
There, there was one other, and you don't have to go to it, but Black Myth Wukong did win like the full player choice award as well. So it kind of got it too. Like it kind of, like by like pure audience vote, it did get like a similar award. So again, it just when it comes to the people that are really, really mad it didn't win one particular thing, it's like it still got this.
Yeah, so this is the player choice award. So this did
That
win. So
seems
yeah,
just as good to me.
so it did have that. But game of the year was Astrobot. So it's between Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Earth Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, Refantazo as the options, and Astrobot took it away there. People say Astrobot is the like kind of Super Mario 64 of the PlayStation console there. Kind of came out of
I've heard
nowhere.
people say it's the best platformer since Mario 64 came out.
Yeah,
Just
I
full
mean,
stop.
kind of yeah, came out of nowhere. High praise for this game, credible reviews. Yeah, and they ended up taking
Well,
the
the free Astrobot game that comes with the PlayStation 5 was, I thought, a fantastic game. Short, not super big. You can play through the whole thing in a couple hours, and it's pretty small. But like as a free game demo type thing, like tech demo for your system, I thought that was a very, very well designed and very fun game. So I was immediately sold on them doing like a full fledged release. So this is one I haven't gotten to yet. It's one of the only big ones left for me for the year. But I kind of had a feeling this would win, and yeah, it seems like it deserved it to me.
yeah. So that's the big controversy, as Ulysses was mentioned in there of Game of the Year, the winner there. So a lot of backlash kind of happened from this. A lot of people going like, a lot of people seem like, I mean, obviously it won Player's Choice. So a lot of people were rooting for Black Myth Wukong to also get Game of the Year. That was also a highly anticipated game this year. Came out, got also really good reviews. So yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that, and the devs of the game as well were highly disappointed. There's a story going around that the devs wrote an acceptance speech there 2 years beforehand, winning Game of the Year, and then when it wasn't them, when Astrobot got to be the winner, then they started crying. So this is Alana Pierce. Alana Pierce, who we've had we showed a clip of her before on the show when that whole discussion came up about accessibility in video games there. She's been on there. She has a long history in video games there. Used to work for She's gone now, but used to work for Santa Monica Studios there. Been a reviewer of video games. So this is what she has to say about what happened there during that night there.
And I was in the front row this year. It was my first time being in the front row. I was like, wow, thanks, Jeff. Great seats. But being in the front row means that you can see all of the actually important people. So like next to me was the whole Sony team. Frankly, that's probably why they put me there, was because when they gave me the seat, I was with Sony. So I was with the Sony publishing team. Behind me was Joseph Faris. Just behind him was Sam Lake, both of whom I know and am very fond of. They're both really great dudes. But I could see all of the nominees and awards winners, and the Black Myth Wukong team, I don't know which person on the team, was crying when Astrobot got Game of the Year, because you could see him just looking down the line, which is the first time I've ever seen anything like that, because generally everyone is like, Game Awards doesn't matter that much. But yeah, the Wukong team were crying when they did not win, which was definitely unusual. Clearly meant a lot to them. They did an amazing thing. But I did find that surprising.
That's a funny somebody. Somebody in the comment here. This is social credit score loss. You got that one. But,
Like, whoa.
uh,
Did it look like celebratory crying? No. They were upset. Definitely upset that they didn't win, which is also fair. But it was still just surprising. Is really all I'm saying.
yeah. So what do you? What's kind of your takeaway of that situation there?
I mean, I have the perspective of the Game Awards doesn't really matter. It's just a fun thing that happens, and I get to see some new stuff. I'm also not invested enough in it, like on a personal level. I'm not making it. Especially to be crying after their game led to them roll. I mean, I agree. No, I agree. Um, I also could say like I've never been up there like potentially going to win and then losing. So I don't know what that feels like. But I would think winning the like player vote award and best action game combined with it being your first game as a studio and just getting there, just even for a nomination in the first place, to me that seems like a big win.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that's where I have a hard time with the idea of like being super like mad or upset that I didn't win, because I feel like getting nominated would be a win. Like that would be enough for me to feel like I won. I don't know. That's just me, and I'm, obviously I haven't been there, but that's how it makes sense in my head.
Mm. And this is an article talking about it right here. It says Black Myth Wukong devs and fans are very upset over Game of the Year snub here. It says over the weekend, a complaint letter of sorts from the studio CEO surfaced online not long after, and the studio is their game science there. Not long after Black Myth Wukong fans carried out a review bombing campaign against Baldur's Gate 3 there. You have a post here from Game Science. Fane Jai made rounds Sunday in which he expressed frustration over Black Myth Wukong not winning Game of the Year. The dev took issue with what he views as a lack of transparency over how winners are decided. While he is happy with the two awards he did take home Thursday night, which they took home, as we said before, Best Action Game, and they took up the People's Choice Awards, I guess, version of the Game Awards, the Player's Choice there. They took win that. Fane Jai doesn't think Black Myth Wuhan got the recognition that it deserved. Yeah, you kind of got that. Some people saying it's kind of coming off as a little bit like a sore loser there. A little bit kind of comes off.
It does. I read that. I read the whole thing that he posted. The only thing though is sometimes languages, the meaning doesn't translate as well. So it's possible that it's just the translation sounds more sore than it actually is. And I don't know. Because I read
Damn,
through
he
this
wrote a
and it,
whole
yeah, it
article here.
does.
Man.
It's long.
Yeah.
But like some of the stuff, like, we talked about the like controversial like statements or whatever that were picked up by IGN like 6 months ago or whatever, 8 months ago. And that stuff was like all due to just like mistranslating and like contorting the meaning of what was being said a bit. So I also hesitate to 100% judge reading this in English as exactly how he's really saying it. Like I think it could be very easy for tone or meaning to be lost in translation.
True. That did happen last time, and we spoke about that. There was that controversy, and you reviewed the game, brought that up of how they were sexist and everything like that. And that was just a mistranslation of the words and things like that that were said there. And like I said, if they were, upset there that the game lost, I mean, that's understandable, as Alana Pierce said. I mean, hey, of course you want to win. Hey, if you're nominated, you just don't want to be there. You want to win. You want to win the big thing, and get up there and give a speech about it and about the time with this game and a lot of investment and time and hard work into this game. Not to say that the other creators of the
Sure.
games also didn't invest a lot of time and hard work and development into it as well. But the fans also review bombing other things. I don't understand what Baldur's Gate 3 has to do with anything.
Yeah, I don't know either. It won last year, but like, well, not only did it win last year, so it's unrelated to what's happening right now, it also, because it came out last year, anybody that's like swayed by a review has probably gotten it already. So you're not going to affect the game's like sales numbers or the purchasing power of it at all. Uh, I don't know. It just seems like lashing out at like whatever target. you
Yeah,
just
I
you
mean, it
just think
makes
of
sense.
something and go for it.
Yeah, it makes sense to review bomb. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but if you're gonna pick a target, I mean, Astrobot scene because it was the one that beat out Blake Wukong.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Like I would still think it was silly, but at least there would be some logic to it. But yeah, I don't get it at all.
so yeah, you have that kind of going on. I mean,
Oh, so I actually did read about this. The CEO or whatever of Larian that did Baldur's Gate 3, because he won last year. He's the guy that got played off the stage while he was talking about how someone close to him had died and he's trying to give this heartfelt speech and they played him off. And then this year he gave out the Game of the Year award.
oh,
And uh, the way he just was talking got translated live into Chinese, and that was poorly translated and made it
oh,
sound like he was saying something really dismissive in Chinese, which pissed off a lot of the Chinese fans of Black Myth. And yes, they started review bombing Baldur's Gate 3 over again a mistranslation. It's why I'm always like cautioning everyone, just be careful when things are in another language. Like you don't always know for sure. Like, don't get mad right away. So this is just another thing proving my point. And how funny is it that it seemed like Black Myth Wukong as a news story started with this mistranslated comments, right? Like, oh, these sexist comments, and then it turned out to be a mistranslation. And now the ending of it as a conversation space is also kind of devolved into a mistranslation going the other direction.
mm, okay. So you have that kind of going on. So that's caused the backlash against Baldur's Gate 3 there, which won Game of the Year last year. Okay. So yeah, that was kind of one of the big controversy things that kind of happened there at this Game Awards. People were upset about that. I mean, out of all the games nominated, I mean, you really love Black Myth Wukong there.
It's my personal game of the year, but there's no. I cannot be confident that if I played Astrobot, and I will, I might like it more. It's
Mm,
entirely possible. Like I'm not going to be so stood still and stone footed about that opinion that playing another game couldn't change my mind.
mm. I get that kind of going on. What game would make you upset if it won? Elden Ring because it's a DLC.
I would roll my eyes, but I'd just roll my eyes and then I'd
Hmm.
move on. I wouldn't review bomb it. I would just be like, I disagree. All right, what's going on in my life? Let's focus on something else.
So yeah, that was kind of one of the big kind of light year. None really, no other kind of really
Yeah,
big thing there. No, yeah, it's kind of a
and
light year.
they didn't really fuck up as like a show this time so much. Like again, they played people off, didn't give them a chance to talk last year. There were way too many ads last year. It was like ridiculous. Like there was less ads this time. They didn't play people off. They didn't let people speak too long either because everybody should remember that the reason that they were rushing people off last time was the time before that. Christopher Judge went on for like 7 minutes and he was talking about nothing for like half the time. So
Uh,
it was an overcorrection, but it felt like they figured out a balance that actually worked this time.
yeah, I mean, would you play off Kratos? I mean, that's Kratos. Would you play him off? I mean, like it's like yeah.
I mean, I listened to that speech live, and once he got to minute 4, I would have started playing the music.
I don't know. Maybe they're a little scared. It's like, I don't know. We can't play him off, man. It's
they
Kratos.
they might have just been scared.
Yeah. But also some other kind of controversy. The only kind of other controversy that really happened was just from the trailers and things like that. A little bit of reaction from that, but seems
Well,
like
there were women in the trailers, so
yeah.
how can that be okay?
But it seems like a lot of people did like the trailers there overall. I think of what was shown there.
I think this was like actually like notably strong show when it came to the trailers and the new reveals.
Yeah. So let's get to some of these trailers here. So I'll go ahead and pull up some of these trailers.
I've got
Something
a
like
list of everything here as well.
yeah, you also gave me a list there of all these good trailers. One of the big ones was The Witcher 4. That was kind of one of the big ones there that came up, and I'm gonna go ahead play this trailer for you people right now. Here you go.
Dearest daughter, I've watched ye grow from a devilishly curious child into a remarkably young lass with much grace, wisdom, and kindness.
And you said you've played 2 and 3.
Take
of
the
Witcher.
easy times.
I played 2 and 3. I have not played the first one.
Okay.
Tis how we rise to face the hard times. What does that for us?
Even people who love the first game do say it takes like 10
Even
hours
heart of gold.
to get good.
You've
So,
a spirit to
take
overcome
that
adversities
with
aplenty.
what you will.
Gee.
Darling, sweeten. Today's the day ye fill out your destiny.
I do have the third one, but I have not played the third one. I do have it. And I actually
It's
just
so long.
Okay. And so is the third one basically just a setup to the character of it set her up as the Witcher?
It sets her up a bit for sure. I mean, it feels like a kind of conclusion to Geralt's story in a lot of ways. It's like they build up the idea of the Wild Hunt as these big villains.
Forgive me, daughter.
And
Twere
they
my
kind
only
of
choice.
in like the first game, and then
My
yeah,
son.
they kind of carry through and execute that. It's
Free
they
to
built
bring her
towards
salvation.
what 3 was for 2 full games, and then they followed through on it really
Witcher?
well.
Witcher!
And then they do set Siri up a bit. 3 does have like multiple
Nay,
endings,
nay, you
and like
can't.
Siri
Tis
can
tradition.
die in some of the
Chosen
endings and
she is.
survive
My
in other
God,
ones.
no!
Like the ending that you would probably play that game and then be like, this seems like the canon ending or like the best outcome type ending. That one very much is like setting Siri up to be the main character. Like I mean, there's like almost a literal passing of the torch scene in Baldur's Gate. Or I mean, sorry, in Witcher 3.
And so the thing was, not only is it a female lead, but the way she looks was also a major concern there for some people. So this is Siri here, and I mean, do you have
Looks like
any
Siri to me.
way she looks at all?
She doesn't look different from the last game. She like her face is a little more detailed. And you know what? I also want to point out that the very first CGI trailer for The Witcher 3, Geralt's face in that looked different than it did in the final actual released game. So I'm just saying, if you've played the game, uh, like there's little changes and stuff to the characters' faces. So if you really have a problem with it, like, well, you should know that like usually that there's little changes as the games gets shown off more. This is a CGI cinematic. This is not in-game footage. And beyond that, what's wrong with her face? Like it's just that like what I don't get it. I don't get it. She doesn't look that different than she did in the last one. It just looks more detailed and more realistic. That's all. The face in the previous game looked maybe a little more like flawless because the graphics weren't as good. So they literally can't have as much detail because it looks less real. Like that's really the only difference.
So you got tweets like this with people kind of going off here. The red lines kind of pointing to her face there. You kind of got
It's like
this going.
every one of these people thinks that they're like the guys in like CSI Miami, and they're not even as cool as that show, that show is not cool. So,
Yeah, like you kind of they're dissecting the face of the
yeah,
character here, and
they're
yeah,
just drawing lines over nothing.
saying like this is not how a woman looks because her nose bridge is too high, and her chin is too large, everything like that. It's like okay, seems a little kind of weird there, but okay,
So
sure.
weird.
You kind of get that going on. Uh, but and this is supposed to be, they say this is supposed to be a much older version of Siri and things like that compared to Witcher 3. So is there like a time jump?
I Yeah, I assume there's a time jump. I guess I haven't read specifically that there is one, but she looks older to me. Which and also, yeah, just she's older. Why wouldn't she look a little different or a little more weathered? She's a monster hunter. She'd get some scars, or she'd age a little. Like it just, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah. Let's continue with the trailer here.
You chose her.
Yes.
Are you into the Witcher lore? Do you read the books? Do you?
I've never read the books. One of my co-hosts, Tim, I think has read maybe not
village.
all of them, but he's read
Go,
some of them.
now.
He's
Nay,
he's like
I
super
must save
diehard
them.
into this
Save
series.
the village.
The-
Save yourself.
I think it's called Gwent, the like card game that's in the games. He actually, like Tim, actually has like the actual like real physical printed edition of the card game even. So I know someone that's like a real diehard about it, but yeah, I played the games and I like them, but I'm definitely not as in love with it as some people are for sure.
Run. To shelter. To your father. Run!
Is that something like from the game? What she does there, like
It's the same like potions and stuff that like Geralt would swallow in the show sometimes to like enhance his strength.
Cannot be
And this is purely just a cinematic trailer. It's not
They
anything.
did say that this like bit of story that is in this cinematic trailer is going to be a side quest in the final game. So even though it is not footage of the game running, it is a CG trailer. It is still representative of a piece of what the game will be.
That was pretty intense. I gotta say that, man.
She were to go to the woods.
Hmm.
The chosen one. It's tradition.
Oh no, no.
So they were gonna like sacrifice the girl to that creature there, basically. Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sacrifice, like, preserve their crops and whatnot.
It's all we wanted. For her to go to the woods. To go to the gods.
Gods? There are no gods here. There are only monsters.
Yeah. What's your big takeaways from that trailer?
I mean, it's a cool trailer. It's what it it doesn't tell me anything really that I didn't already know because I played the third one, and based on that game, I was like, Ciri's probably going to be the main character in the next one. It felt very set up. It felt very earned. It's a cool trailer. Like the fight's cool. It doesn't really. But it's also it's kind of depicting like a side mission, so it doesn't really give much of a sense of what like the overall larger story of the game will be. And the games are not like 100% faithful adaptations of the book either. The games changed a lot of stuff and kind of move things around. But I do understand them that they're faithful to like the characters and the characters' personalities and stuff at the very least. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that it'll be good, but so I'm hesitant about this game for a very different reason other than there being a woman in it. But because Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red's last game, was such a disaster, and I just don't know how much I trust them as a studio to release something that works and isn't going to like break your console by trying to play it. So I think I may end up playing this for sure, but it's going to be one that I definitely wait until other people have gotten their hands on it and can talk about it and tell me, okay, it actually works. This game is polished because Cyberpunk 2077 was actually breaking people's entire systems. It was that bad. So they've got to earn some goodwill back for me.
Well, you got people like this who says so. CD Projekt Red has completely been hit with the DEI ugly stick. What the fuck is this Siri? And her voice actor is different too. I'm watching this live right now, and I'm not thrilled. I'm sad, dude. This person says there. And then this person says, "What do you think about the new look of Siri?" There, so you get the young version of Siri, and then the newer version here on the left. So it does look like
She's
she's
just old.
older. It does look like
Yeah.
she's older there. So here she looks more in her 30s, 40s. Here she looks more in her 20s. Here,
Yeah, I guess I don't. Yeah, I wonder how much time has actually passed. But I mean, yeah, it looks like the same character. She's just older. Like I
yeah.
swear, every one of these guys is like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just, can't go over that 25.
And then yeah, for like you said, I mean, they kind of set it up here at the end of Witcher 3. Of Geralt passing the torch here to Ciri at the end of this game. So if you did play this game and beat this game, Maybe you just beat this game. I don't know. Maybe people just. I mean, you said the game was pretty long. I don't know. Maybe people are just beating it now and going like, "Oh
Oh yeah, I
shit."
mean, I'd say even just a regular playthrough is genuinely going to take you at minimum like 90 hours for that game, and that's skipping a lot. Like that game could take like 300, 400 hours to actually like really experience it.
Ulysses says, "Not sure why people think she's ugly. Stereotypically hot female characters have looked like that for decades, and a face like that is considered very attractive in Europe." He
Yeah,
said.
no, she's not just ugly, or it's not just that she's not ugly. She's actively hot. Like I don't understand how you can look at. That's why I wonder is like, do these guys even are they actually into women? Like, are they? Are you guys sure that you like women?
Well, I mean, I don't know. They liked Stella Blade. They liked Stella Blade there, so they did like
Not
that.
when they took the camel toe away, though. They turned on it as soon as that happened.
So they like more of the anime looking girl. It seems like more of that type of looking girl. I
But
think they
only if they have full exposed camel toe.
yes,
Otherwise, then it's just as bad.
very true there. So yeah. Was there any release date? I think maybe I missed it. I wonder if there was a release
I
date.
don't think there was a release date. There might have been a year, but definitely not more than that.
Okay, so that was kind of there. So 2026 is when we can expect it there.
Man, based on The Witcher 3, I just how big that game is, and I know that they've only been working on this for so long. I would think this isn't coming out till 2027, 2028, maybe.
Mm, okay. So other big trailer that kind of popped up there. We can do Outer Worlds 2. So that was the other big kind of trailer that showed up there. This one game you were kind of looking forward to. So let's take a look at it.
So I still need to play the first one.
From the studio that brought you Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Part 2. Neverwinter Nights, Part 2. And Fallout 3, Part 2. New Vegas. Comes a completely original Part 2. And like all good sequels, we've included everything that should have been in the first game. More action.
Those Outer World, I've never played Outer Worlds. It's like Bioshock.
More weapons.
I still need to play it. It's a bit more like a Fallout-ish RPG, but it's got more of a space setting to it.
Okay.
I mean, it because I could talk about how Black Isle Studios did Fallout 1 and 2, kind of went away, and then Obsidian was founded as a studio, and some of the people that used to be Black Isle Studios came and then was part of Obsidian after that. So that's why like Fallout New Vegas feels more like the first two games than Fallout 3 or 4 does. And this is definitely yeah, that's a yeah. There is there is some Bioshocky elements about it too. That's definitely accurate. But the Outer Worlds definitely to me, and I still need to play the first game, but just from what I can always tell about it, it seemed like it was Obsidian's way of, well, we're not gonna ever be allowed to work on Fallout again, and definitely we don't own it. We're never gonna get to own it. So let's come up with something new where we can kind of mess around with a similar writing style, but it's our IP and it'll stay our IP. So.
Okay.
Picks. Get ready for an adventure that took 3 times longer to make, but will almost certainly be 2 times bigger.
Baby, 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 you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, I gotta mute this because it's playing licensed music. But yeah, okay. So I could see that Fallout, Bioshock kind of feel to it as well. Okay.
And it definitely like even just the bits and pieces of even this trailer, there's a sense of humor that feels closer to like old school Fallout for sure. Like I can tell that it's Obsidian's sense of humor, and some of that old writing kind of shines through.
Yeah. Okay, and this is planning to come out in 2025. This game is planning to come out there. So
which is double dipping for Obsidian because they have Avowed coming out in March, and that is kind of them doing like almost like their version of like an Elder Scrolls type thing. So that'd be two big releases for that for just that one studio next year.
okay. Looks like an exciting game, like Ulysses said. Yeah, Fallout meets Bioshock there, so it looks kind of interesting there in the combat that they're doing. Um, and all that was kind of in-game footage that you had there of it, so that looks pretty nice there with that type of style. Yeah, that was Outer Worlds 2. Another game that you were kind of excited to show me was Split Fiction. So the trailer.
This looks awesome.
Take a look. And this is from the same people that brought you It Takes Two.
Yes, yeah. Joseph Ferris, who has also just been like the guy that swears and yells the most at these award shows. But yeah, this is his studio, Hazelight, and yeah, they won Game of the Year in I think it was 2021 for It Takes Two. And
Yep.
and I mean they are the only studio out there that has made it a point to innovate in split screen co-op games. And yeah, I love them for it. And this looks like a great evolution of what It Takes Two did.
We sure cause a lot of explosions.
Okay, you better get ready, because I'm about to show you Hazelight's next co-op adventure called Split Fiction. And let me tell you this, get ready for a ride. You play as Mio and Zoe, two aspiring writers that hopes to get published by a new tech company that can simulate their stories to life.
I can't do this.
Please calm down. It's time. You can't shut. No!
Accidentally, they end up in the same simulation.
What are you doing in my story? Something bad is going on here.
And there, they find out that their stories are about to get stolen.
No one escapes my simulation.
And in order to save them, they have to escape back to reality through the very worlds that they created.
Hands above your heads.
But the thing is, they're strangers, and Miu writes sci-fi, while Zoe writes fantasy. So you will, for every level in the game, jump between a sci-fi world
Okay. This looks pretty awesome.
and a fantasy world. We at Hazelight love variation, and you'll have a unique mechanic for every level. Let me give you some examples. In this level, you start out by finding dragon eggs that hatch.
Hey, stop licking.
And then they become a little bit bigger dragons with new abilities. But in the end, they grow up to be full-ass dragons. And now
tell Robert
they can
Downey
fly
Jr.
around and kick
Full-ass
ass. In another level, you play these ball.
I can't remember
boys
when
that
this kind of somewhat of what was happening in Ready Player One. Like, he was like creating a story, and then they were trying to like steal it, or he was like making a game in the world, and then the creators already they were trying to like steal his game or something.
Well, so I remember the book better than the movie. But in the book, at least, it's not. It's like the guy that made the VR game dies, and he like leaves it in his will that there's like a competition to
Oh, right.
basically, and whoever wins that like basically owns the game, and it's at the guy's will or whatever. Again, that's another one of those where it's like read the book, don't watch the movie.
magnetize and shift to different forms. And then the droids become your exosuits.
Or actually,
And you
no,
can
wait a
now
minute, I'm
attack-
confusing Ready Player One with the premise of what was that movie with Ryan Reynolds? Fall Guy. I think that was they were doing that in Fall Guy.
Oh yeah, I never saw that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't see it. It's not that good, but yeah.
Hack different objects. Here's another one. You play as pigs, and they later become... Anyway, let's not talk about that level for now. And as always, with the Friends Pass, you only need to buy one copy of the game to play it with your friend online. That's what Hazelight is about. No loot boxes, no microtransactions, and no bullshit. You just get the game.
People like the sound of that. No microtransactions, no bullshit. People like the sound of that.
tickets.
It's also hard not to be excited about a game with the way this guy talked about it.
Split Fiction. Coming soon, March 6th. That's not that far away. Yeah, coming pretty soon there.
This had to be one of the best trailers at the show. If for two reasons, it shows you gameplay right away
Yeah.
in the reveal trailer, and it's coming out pretty soon. I like that is something that like we get a lot of CG trailers, and they can be really cool, but they're also like years and years away, and they don't really show you what the game actually looks like when you're playing it. But something like that is just like, here's every single thing you need to know to decide whether you want to play that.
Okay. Yeah. Looks exciting. Looks like an exciting game there. Incorporates a lot of kind of puzzle elements there, action elements there as well. We saw the sci-fi world, fantasy world, the kind of Tron-esque kind of motorbike sequence. That has that in there. That looks pretty cool. Very much there. And it's coming out pretty soon. So it's a game that hey, you can get excited for, and it's like, hey, it's coming around the corner there. So you don't have to wait that long for it. Which is
And I don't know if you heard one of the last things he said was you only have to buy one copy of the game.
Yeah.
Because there's like a friend pass in there. So if just one person gets it, you can just send your friend the pass online and play it anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so both of you don't have to buy one person. That might increase the sales of the game if only just one person has to buy it.
They did the same thing with It Takes Two, and that absolutely helped that game get as well known as it did.
Yeah. Another trailer here. Shadow Labyrinth. So show this here. Okay. Evil Pac-Man.
Yeah, you ever feel like you needed Pac-Man to be edgier, cooler, more badass?
Well, I didn't know that until I saw this trailer. Got that here.
So this is also one of the secret level episodes that just came out.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Big epic Mickey Mouse.
So the story of this, I'm reading this on Steam right here. So the story of this game. So as swordsman number 8, awoken by a floating yellow orb, Puck, on a mysterious planet where relics from past wars remain, you are chosen to become the instrument of its will. To survive, you will discover many secrets. Start preying on your enemies and become the apex predator as you embrace your true purpose. Discover a world of secrets. Search the remnants of an old intergalactic conflict started long before your arrival and discover new powers and abilities. Use them to traverse an alien world as you battle dangerous creatures and evolved monstrosities. Okay. Become the apex predator that you have there. So you kind of got
Pac-Man is the apex predator.
Oh, wow. He should be in his own movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Huh? You got that kind of going on.
Apparently.
I mean, it looks like you're good kind of Metroidvania type.
I mean, if it plays well, sure, I could see it. I never would have thought to match that tone and style with Pac-Man. I never ever would have put that together myself.
Yeah. And this is coming out in 2025. There's no exact release date for it yet. But hey, this looks fun. I mean, this looks something that would be really good to play here. So you got
I feel like somebody over there was like really into Shadow the Hedgehog, and it's like, how can we translate to the Pac-Man franchise?
Mm, yeah. So yeah, this looks pretty good. I mean, yeah, like I said, classic Metrovania kind of style there. Action looks pretty fluid and pretty fun. Yeah. So let's see what we can do with this. I'm eager to play this. Check it out there. Um,
Yeah, yeah. There's a split second there as if you see it like flies into his back right before we see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
the one of the episodes of Secret Level is this, and you see that in more detail there, and it's like violent gory body horror of it like eating like part of his back out to like burrow into him like like one of like an alien style like impregnation scene in a horror film, and it like eats out the back of his spine it's bizarre, like it's very very surreal and bizarre.
Mm. Another trailer that we got coming up here is for Project Century's world premiere here. So we got this game there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
There was a
tonight
good
we've got a little.
bit of this trailer. I thought it might have been like a Sleeping Dogs sequel or prequel or something.
Mm.
Something special for you. We're gonna try out the brand new tune. Oh my, your music, your saving grace. Let's sing together.
Damn.
Let's keep singing another day.
So it's just kind of speculating. I mean, it's kind of an untitled game at the moment. People kind of speculating what it is. People say, is it another Like a Dragon?
Well, I believe it's made by the same people, but it is meant to be a unique title. Yeah, I haven't played a ton of those games, but they're not that violent.
Mm.
They're very much not this level of violent. They're goofier and sillier, and yes, they have combat, but like you are not stabbing people and like obviously actually killing them in those games. So this is it, yeah, like the level of violence, and I guess it's just blood, so it's not fully gore, but it definitely is a different intensity than what that franchise is.
Singing night and day with a music harmony. Stray.
It's not a whole lot to go on there. We know it takes place in 1915 there.
It's
Um,
really just the vibes trailer, I feel like.
mm, yeah. Just to kind of get you teased, kind of get you excited about this project here, kind of get going on there. Looks
The
good.
setting's cool for a video game, and the combat looks cool. So, I mean, they've got me interested at the very least.
It reminds. Have you ever seen that show Warrior? Have you ever seen that show?
I have not all of it, but I have watched some of it.
Yeah, it kinda reminds me a little bit of that. I think the show Warrior, I mean, I think it takes place way before the event because it takes place, like, in the 1870s, I think, or something like that, Warrior, as opposed to
Yeah,
this 1915, but kinda that kinda early period there of when Asian people immigrated into America and then trying to kinda there in the community, and then you had kinda the Yakuza taking over there a little bit with the crime and kinda running things in the neighborhoods there for a bit. So kinda reminds me a little bit of that to a certain degree there, so I wonder if you're gonna be like that's a similar situation where you're gonna try to kinda work your way up there, you're a guy kinda coming in, and you're gonna go make your way to a higher level of boss there in the game, so I wonder if it's gonna be something like that in it. Um, and I don't think I saw there was kinda no release date on it or anything like that, it was just kinda
if it doesn't have a title, I wouldn't even expect a frame or a date at all for that one.
yeah. So you kind of got that. So it's just kind of yeah, like just say showing this off. Like this is what we got so far. It's a new game kind of coming up from us. Everything like that. So are you definitely excited for something, even if you've never played like the Like a Dragon games or anything like that?
I will at least say that I am intrigued. We'll see where it goes. I'm not like 100% sold on it as a full concept, but I'm definitely intrigued. Like I'll keep an eye on it as we see more in the future for sure.
Okay. And it looks like you can use a variety of different weapons here. You got the I don't know what you call those hooks, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
Use the environment. You can break off a piece of a bottle glass, and then you got that. You got boss battles. It seems like in this game, you're fighting Mr. X, I guess, from Resident Evil. There, you got that kind of going on. Um, yeah. So gorgeous looking game too. If this is in game, gorgeous looking game. You kind of got that as well. So yeah. Kind of surprise drop there.
Probably
Uh,
one of those cases where they're using a teaser trailer like that, probably to generate interest, kind of get more funding for it, or do staff recruiting.
yeah. Also, we got Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. We got that.
Yeah, this was a fun surprise. This was the very, very first thing that they showed at the beginning of the. I guess this is the pre-show segment of it, but huge surprise. There hasn't been a Ninja Gaiden game since like 2011 or 20, maybe 2009.
お前の力はこの程度か。まだまだ。
And Blasphemous, which we're playing on my channel right now.
Oh, they're the creators behind it.
Yep, it's the same team that did that.
And the Ninja Gaiden games, very difficult games. They're very
Oh, there are. I've never beat them.
2D game, platform, action platforming game that you got here.
It's kind of funny. It's similar to Prince of Persia, because Prince of Persia was like the Prince of Persia games that people right now are probably the most nostalgic about are like the early 2000s, right? Which are 3D games, right? Like 3D adventure games. And so I'm guessing for a lot of people, the Ninja Gaiden games that they're nostalgic about is probably something like Ninja Gaiden Black, right? Like again, early 2000s, these like 3D adventure games. But going all the way back to the 80s, just like Prince of Persia, Ninja Gaiden was a 2D side scroller game first. And so it is kind of, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool return to its a very original format.
Okay. Yeah. It makes me do want to go back and actually play those games. And this is coming out summer 2025 there. It seems like something more I would get on the Switch rather than a console, just the way it is with that. So it seems like something I
I
would.
guarantee that the performance will still be better on the console.
Yeah. Well, hey man, at least until they announce that Switch 2. It's yeah, something that I think, yeah, it'll probably be better for that. But yeah, so it looks like a fun game there. I mean, with the kind of frankly kind of style there that you have on that 2D of Ninja Gaiden there of that. I mean, I don't imagine it's going to be as difficult as the earlier ones there in consoles. I don't imagine.
I don't know. Blasphemous, which is this game, the studio's kind of big game, is kind of that's kind of difficult, and it's got a lot of very like Souls-like elements to it, even though it's more of a
Mm,
Metroidvania. So I don't know. Based on the other games that this team has made, I could see this being on the more difficult side of things.
mm, okay. Very nice. All right, and then another game we got coming up is from Gen Design here. This is a new game that they announced at the Game Awards.
As you recall, very swiftly at 25 kilometers radius of ground zero now.
Sound like this shit from Arrival.
Yeah,
This one's
maybe it is.
created from Team Ico, who did obviously Shadow of the Colossus there, The Last Guardian. They're both doing that.
This is probably the trailer I was the most excited by for the whole show.
55 seconds. 50 seconds. 35 seconds. 30 seconds. 35 seconds. Start medium in 30 seconds. 25 seconds. 20 seconds.
Looks like the anti-minute wave. Like Crisis on
Kind of looks like he's jumping in the robot from Pacific Rim a little bit.
Well, the robot and like kind of the way that its body, it looks kind of similar to some of the colossi from Shadow of the Colossus.
Mm.
So I don't know if this is the case with The Last Guardian as well, but at least between Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, there are some things in those two games that kind of make them seem like they might take place in the same world. Uh, and so I wonder if this, because there's some just design elements, and it may just be their style too more than anything. But the fact that Shadow of the Colossus and Ico and Last Guardian all take place in a world that seems to be somewhat post-apocalyptic is interesting, because here we're seeing something that seems almost we're seeing something that looks like literally apocalyptic. So I wonder if this is going to build out on like the mythos of this world in any way, or even if it is only a vague allusion to it. But it definitely feels like, hey, these games have always hinted at there being like a civilization with more advanced technology at one point in their history, and this big robot. It's like maybe there's some connection there with the Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus, and then something that looks like this.
The most
It also feels inspired by a little bit by like Nausicaa.
PlayStation. So I'm gonna go back, play it again here, just without the sound. Yeah, just kind of go back a little bit with that. So, what's your kind of interpretation of this? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I see some sort of like, I mean, it really makes me think of like the wave of antimatter from like the comic book Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like it looks like something that is like absolutely apocalyptic, destroying like the world. And either this is like this robot thing is like a war machine that is possibly connected to like the cause of the destruction, which is where I kind of see the Nausicaa Valley of the Wind influence a little bit. Or it is maybe it's a more classical kind of like, here's a mech suit built to fight some sort of oncoming, devastation. I get the sense though that because these games from the studio have always been on the more kind of experimental and artistic side, I would wager it's got some sort of connection between the creation of war machines and kind of the destruction that they cause. And like I said, I'm getting a lot of Nausicaa Valley of the Wind vibes from this.
Okay, because you see, like, I don't know, like this wave of, I don't even know how to describe these things. Kind of there, like there's this amorphous shapes kind of coming at him there.
Yeah.
And then this character hops into the head of this Titan robot and kind of blasts off there.
I really like the detail of as the head comes out too. It's like you can really see like the spine of the neck and like all of the little detail of how the armor of it is like connected to the different pieces. That's really visceral the way that that looks,
Hmm.
even though it's just a machine. I thought that
And you still see
added
the
an
person like they're kind of standing on top of, so they're not like inside the head; they're kind of outside, kind of working controls.
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does look like they're on top. Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of got that. Hmm.
The way that you climb up the side of it, I mean, that's very reminiscent of the way that you climb up the Colossi in Shadow of the Colossus, and even you climb up the companion animal in Last Guardian as well. Very, very much the same gameplay sort of sense.
So just kind of a big announcement along with that in Project Century, yeah, just like announcing kind of these new things on the horizon, something to kind of be anticipated for, look out for. You got that. And then also another kind of big one here. We got Elden Ring. We have that
Mm.
they dropped some there. Future game of the year right here. Elden Ring. Right there.
God damn it! It might be. We'll see. They did also release a few detailed content of the game after the trailer as well.
Oh, we say?
So they actually released a decent bit of info on this right after the trailer dropped as well.
Okay. And this is Elden Ring Night Rin. That you're coming at right here.
Yeah, Elden Ring Night Raid or Night Rain. So it's very much a spin-off game. This is not DLC. This is its own standalone thing. And it's not exactly the same type of game as the rest of like the Souls games. Uh, this is a little more focused on the multiplayer aspect. I think it's only 3 players still, like Souls games all kind of always have been. But it is like it's like a roguelike. So it's taking like the environments from Elden Ring and then it's doing this roguelike where it like remixes them and then you can go out as like a team of 3 and you have like 3 days before the world resets and you'd have to go out and do it again. um, and there's bosses to fight and a whole bunch of stuff to do. You also are not like completely customizing a character like a tradition, like the rest of the games in the franchise, like an RPG. There's like 8 character classes. You pick one of them, and then you can upgrade like as you're playing. But again, it's a roguelike, so like you're resetting each time when you don't succeed. But what's interesting too about this is it's pulling in stuff from the other games. Like some of the sword parrying there just a moment ago, that's very Sekiro. That looked like Sekiro gameplay. Um, you also have there's a boss. That boss right there, if I'm remembering right, that's a boss from Dark Souls, not from Elden Ring. And Dark Souls and Elden Ring are 2 completely different universes. So that's a very weird, or at least interesting to me, that they're just almost seems like a crossover between the different Souls games. I could not, for the life of me, tell you in terms of lore, like story wise, what's happening here. But it looks cool. I think it looks very cool.
Mm, okay. And let me see, when is this coming out?
I think it just said 2025, but it didn't have a date.
Okay. Yeah, 2025 there. that you have that said no real specific release date. Am I wrong? It seems a little bit more action oriented than what I've seen from Elden Ring with this DLC there.
Oh, this is what every trailer for every Souls game looks like.
Oh, okay.
They're always very heavy on the action in the trailers. I mean, this if possible, this may have even more action, but like I would call those action games. They're very like it's you have to be careful and very purposeful to play them well, but I'd still say that they are very much like action games.
Okay. Tim, pretty much you would probably know a lot about this of
Oh,
Night Rain.
he would
Oh,
definitely know the most. Sure, I'm
okay.
sure he picked just a ton of story from this that I didn't even register.
Yeah. Well, I'm calling it game of the year candidate next year, 2026 there, 2025 there.
Hey, at least the DLC didn't win this time, so like it's great.
Oh man. So you gotta get that going on. I know Elden Ring is pretty massive and pretty expansive, so it's a beast to take on there. With that, and we got one last trailer to discuss there. Maybe one of the bigger trailers of the night. And people were happy. It was like, wow, Naughty Dog finally made a new game. We gotta get new there. Instead of just remastered. So we got that.
Is that the last one you have on your list there?
Um, yeah. I mean, I think that's the last one you said. Did you have another one after this one?
I've got let's see, one, two. Well, one's just a teaser, so I guess three including this one.
Okay. Well, let me know after this one what else I can play. But we got Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet there, and there was a little bit of a controversy with this one as well. Gonna get into, but let's play the trailer.
I want to watch whatever anime this is.
A lot of people say very anime kind of theme trailer as well, very Akira kind of inspired there. You see that?
Yeah, there's some Akira stuff in here. There's some Cowboy Bebop stuff in here. I think her spaceship definitely has like a swordfish kind of feel to it, at least the color for sure.
Yeah. And this is the lead of the game there, another woman. You see that?
No.
And this is played by Tatiana Gabrielle there, Tati Gabrielle, who people might know. She was in You. Have you ever watched that show? You. She was in the last couple seasons of that show.
I haven't.
She was also in Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. She was the villain in that show. Not really villain, but she was like the bully in that show, kind of as well in that. She's gonna be showing up in Last of Us, actually. She's gonna be showing up in the TV show. She's actually gonna be showing up in that as well. She's also gonna be showing up in Mortal Kombat 2. She's gonna be Jade in
A lot of stuff I'm not going to be watching.
She was also in Uncharted. You watched Uncharted, didn't you?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, she was the character in Uncharted. She was like the female henchman in Uncharted in the movie. She was kind of like, it seemed like the role she was playing was like the role Nadine, like she was trying to play Nadine from the
Trying
game.
to kind of do that.
Yeah.
Which makes total sense for Tom Holland as a young Nathan Drake to run into that character.
Yeah. So she was in that. So yeah. But I liked her in Chillin's Adventures of Sabrina. She was really good in that. I liked her in You. She's pretty fun in that show as well. So we'll get into a little bit of what people are saying about her in this there. After. And then people also say with the shaved head, they said they were kind of going for a Ripley Aliens look there with the shaved.
That's what I thought right away. Alien 3, Ripley in the prison. She got it looks just like she's wearing like the same gray tank top and everything. I felt like that was a very obvious homage to Ripley.
Is that, so in that photo right there, is that Camille Nanjiani to the far left
Yeah,
here?
totally, yeah, yeah, yeah. He appears briefly elsewhere in the trailer too when the signal starts going off, and
Okay.
she's like, ID this guy for me, or give me the go ahead to go catch this guy. You can see Kumail Nanjiani is like the target that they're talking about on the computer as well.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a bunch of stuff here that's like kind of cluing in to maybe hinting at some of the plot. I haven't really stopped to read all of what that is, but
And you get the villain from Better Call Saul, he's in here as well, in the
yeah.
middle.
So you got Kumail Nanjiani. I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head. They got Lala Salamanca, and then Troy Baker is also confirmed to be part of the cast of this as well. Which of course he is, because he's in everything.
Yeah. He's Indiana Jones. He's even Indiana Jones.
He's even Indiana Jones.
Jordan, tell me something good. Well, you're right. It checks out. He's hiding out around
Another woman.
Excellent. How is that excellent? He's next to fucking Superior. No one has left that planet in over 600 years.
That voice
Anyone
sounds
who even
familiar.
plays close to it
I
has
don't know
never
who
heard
that
from
is.
again.
I'm not sure who that is.
No,
Very Akira with the red leather
Superstitions
jacket.
are the crazy rumors about what happened on that planet. These are facts.
Yeah, that face,
And
the
yeah, I'm
voice.
not sure. You know what she kind of looks like? Sigourney Weaver in Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not, I mean, I know it's not Sigourney Weaver, but like that's both characters in this trailer kind of
You
look
were
like different iterations of Sigourney Weaver.
And people mention the jacket is also kind of Akira, the jacket she's wearing.
Yeah, very much so. There's a shot of her
much.
hitting a
You
couple
know, I worked
buttons
in
and then like a record player going on, I think, and that's like a shot for shot recreation of a moment in Akira as well.
I'm wasting my time, aren't I?
Do you think the trailer is bouncing?
Little face is up on the Kumail Nanjiani's face is up like right above the monitor.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying right there. Yeah, his face is. Yeah, I know the words are kind of blocking it here a little bit, but his face is up there like as somebody she's going. It says threat level 7 right here as well.
Yeah.
And it says his name is Colin Graves is the name there. I kind of got there. Do you think the trailer is bouncing back and forth between in-game footage and then cinematic footage there? It seems like it's bouncing back and forth.
No, this is all in game.
Oh, it's on.
Naughty. That's just how Naughty Dog does things. Naughty Dog's cinematics are in game. So Naughty Dog cinematics are like all made using the in-game assets. There's no like transition from one to the other. This is all like even though like a lot of games will announce with like CG cinematics and stuff, this is one, and Naughty Dog in general is one you can trust that this is actually like what the game looks like.
Wasting my time, aren't I? Can you please blame him? I don't need another hunter swooping in. Who is swooping? No one is crazy enough to go there. He clearly is. He is clearly desperate. And so am I, so claim him, or I will find another agent. Yeah, that's what they your fucking shit. Okay, alright, you know what? There, you're the boss. Thank you. Listen, kid.
It does look a bit like
I'll
Sigourney
see you
Weaver.
on the other side.
That synthwave type of music you got also going there.
I already like the music. Here's another licensed track though you'll have to use for. It's a pet shop.
Yeah. So I gotta mute the trailer for that. But yeah, and people saying
Got
they also,
Adidas shoes and a Porsche spaceship and a Sony sound system.
yeah, people talking about the product placement in that, but they also think that's part of it, like this '80s kind of sci-fi type world that you have here, like Blade Runner or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's very intentional. I don't think they just like were like, ooh, we need to make this game for a lower. It's Naughty Dog. like I guarantee you that Sony does not care how much Naughty Dog's spending on this, unless it's like so far out there that it's unusual. I really cool detail that sword. It moves around a lot, so I don't know if it's super easy to tell, but it's like the visualizer of the speakers that are like the teeth of the sword.
Mm.
I thought that was a really cool detail, and again shows you for sure that like music is the big part of the vibe for this. Obviously, they play the licensed track from the Pet Shop song, and um, even just the composed music, right? Like you mentioned, is that synth wave kind of feel, which I think sounds really cool. Uh, then on top of that, I think they released a few other details. Although some of this I kind of put together just from the trailer. But this actually takes place in like an alternate, like 1986. So like it's supposed to be 1986 in the game, like an alternate reality where technology progressed much earlier in time, and so we have space travel and sci-fi and whatever. So it's I think it's the way it's doing the kind of like, oh, what did people like? What did sci-fi movies look like in the 80s? You got the big blocky buttons from like Alien and Aliens have. And yeah, the product placement's totally a riff on like 80s movies and like the way product placement looked in 80s films. I don't know, I think this is a great tease. I mean, it doesn't show a lot, and I don't have a story necessarily to be invested in. But as far as just like here's a sneak peek of what we're working on. Here's a vibes check. Here's a style check. I think this is promising. I think this is great.
Yeah. Um, Seems like okay, you got this character Jordan is her name, it seems like. And then she's a bounty hunter, so she's gonna go to these maybe different worlds, do these bounty hunting, do these kind of missions here. Maybe this is, maybe the Star Wars Outlaws we should have gotten, maybe, you know what I mean? Went from that. Um,
Well, she's a bounty hunter too, and that's also very Cowboy Bebop as well.
yeah, Cowboy very has a lot of these inspirations there as well. And I think Neil Druckmann said with kind of he was inspired by Elden Ring. I think he was also said there. Speaking of like that game, and also had like he's very inspired by that with
Yeah,
this.
what I read that he said was specifically the way that Elden Ring uses like the environment to tell its story and doesn't
Mm,
like do all of it through like cutscenes and character interaction. Like it really does a lot with its environment and lets you know a lot just kind of by the design of the world.
yeah, so you got to kind of it's incorporating into it as well. And another thing, so we mentioned, kind of with some of the female character, another female led game here, and kind of some of the backlash that was there. So yeah, and people mentioned that this female character was not very attractive, as well there. So you kind of got that kind of going on. I guess people just don't like the shaved head, I guess. I guess that was one of the complaints there. I guess there.
I mean, fair enough if it's not what you personally find attractive, but does the ever it's no different from like a movie. Like, does every character in a movie or every protagonist in a movie have to specifically be attractive for them to be interesting? You know, I'll say like some of the most interesting actors out there are like, okay, someone that I think is a great actor, Jackie Earl Haley. He's kind of weird looking. He's not handsome, right? In like a conventional way. He's a little weird looking, but that works great for a character like he played Rorschach in the Watchmen film. Rorschach is like described as being real ugly. He's supposed to be kind of ugly and kind of weird looking. It's like sometimes, and I'm not saying she is, but also I'm just saying if your initial reaction is, oh, that's not attractive to me personally, is that really a good or bad thing for like a story, like in a piece of art? Like, is that really like the priority? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, people mentioned that. Yeah, so that was kind of another weird thing. And people brought up the example of like Jack from Mass Effect 2 of like her having a shaved head there and her looking sexy and kind of badass there as well with that. Um, yeah. So and then some of the replies here, again was Jack embracing the SJW agenda. We're like weirdos like that. So another issue that kind of people have.
I'd like to see a trailer with a female character that people don't like. What's one example of one that people didn't have a problem with?
So that's another thing. But I think she looks fine again. I mean, I don't understand the obsession and need there to have always the character look super attractive to you. I'm just worried about the gameplay, and I'm just worried about the actual story of the game. Is the story interesting? Is the story
Yeah, is she an interesting character? Then who cares if she's attractive or not? Like, why does that even matter?
But I think she's, the actress there is very, good looking there. Gabrielle there. Can I get that? So,
Well, and I'll also say this for the in-game like character. She's clearly by herself on a spaceship, living in space, and is like a bounty hunter. Like, probably not the kind of person that's taking a shower every single day, or right, like you're not necessarily having access to running water. I mean, maybe the ship does, but I'm just saying, like, it's a big blue collar job, right? Like, you're not necessarily like going to be like a woman's not necessarily going to be in a dress and looking like done to the nines at all times, right? Like, I did Sigourney Weaver look like she was ready to go to like the ball during Alien? No.
yeah. And you see so many people try to fix the design of the character as well, like their own, and usually it looks like crap as well. Like, look at like they tried
Oh
to,
yeah.
like this person tried to do an edit of it and looks like shit. This is like this looks like shit. I don't know why you would
Yeah.
do that there.
No.
Okay. So that's another weird thing there that they kind of did. So people also did that with Siri from Witcher 4, and their thing was just like, I don't know, they just put a bunch of makeup on her, I guess. Like, this was one of the edits. Like, I don't know if the people was trolling or what. Like, this was one of them. This shit looks just was just like fucking weird, man. Uh,
The
you this
hell?
is the same character but without makeup there. So that's
Yeah,
their
like
version.
yeah. And why would someone by themselves on a spaceship that's like a working bounty hunter? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
listen
the
to
edit
this.
is pretty horrible.
Man, that's pretty hideous there. So I mean, there's even some other edit I saw. I was trying to look for where they gave her long hair. They basically made her look like a little bit like Eve from Stella Blade. They made her Asian for some reason there. So there was that. That was another weird thing that they did. But yeah. So that's kind of strange there. So what was the other trailer you wanted to show?
So there's three others. One of them I won't have you play because it is a very brief teaser. But they did announce an Okami sequel, so that's a big Capcom game. Came out on the PS2. Really impressive watercolor. Maybe if you got it, you can even show footage of the first one if you want. But Okami was a beautiful
Oh
watercolor art
yes.
style. Um, really, really beloved kind of cult classic game. You play as this wolf, and it's the sun goddess Amaterasu from Japanese folklore, and it's got this like cool, like you're like painting symbols and characters in the air with like a paintbrush as part of the gameplay, and that like engages the really just unique game. People have been begging for a sequel for. I mean, that must have come out in 2007 or something like that at this point. So that getting a sequel is a long time coming. That's headed up by Hideki Kamiya, who is the creator of Bayonetta and was a big part of the Devil May Cry franchise. And he'd worked at Platinum Games for a long time. He recently left Platinum, started his own new studio, and this is going to be like the first game that studio works on. Also, again, being worked with as a Capcom game, so that's a huge, huge thing for Capcom. So that was a pretty big announcement. And then and then I have two that I have actual trailers for. So Mafia: The Old Country, I thought got a fantastic looking trailer. Um, I think this looks like it could easily be the best game to come out of this franchise. Uh, now, have you played any of the Mafia games?
I played. I think one. I played one of them. I get the
I think
gist of
they've always been a cool cool series. I mean, like Saints Row, I think sometimes it's easy to look at it as like a bit of a Grand Theft Auto clone. But I think Mafia has always done a good job of tapping into the the mob movie aesthetic and character dynamics too. I mean, I think they do a good job with their stories and really kind of
I'm gonna
going into
play
that world.
the trailer for Okami here. I'm gonna play the trailer for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do that one first. Onimusha is the other game.
Mm. Kind of looks like what Black Myth Wukong did with some of their cutscenes. I know Okami. I mean, obviously that came first. Though, so.
Sure. Yes, I mean, that was. I mean, I could say I've personally not played the original, but I remember people talking about it when it came out. I've heard people talk about it ever since. I mean, it's a big thing,
Okay.
and that Hideki Kamiya is returning to direct it. I think that's a very big deal as well.
And then this one is Mafia: The Old Country. So this is more of a story trailer. You actually get to see more of like the story and
Yeah, it's a prequel too, taking place in Sicily.
This is a family. And in this family, we follow a code of honor. It is not forgiving. To betray one is to betray all. Do you wish to commit?
the remaster stuff. They have a collection of the games on Steam if people want to check it out. At a very so if you have Game Pass, you can just pick it up and play it there if you have Game Pass.
Your life to this family. I do. To become a man of honor, repeat these words. I swear my loyalty to this family.
Some new combat, maybe they're going to be doing fighting with kind of knives. Did they do that in other Mafia games a lot?
Not really.
If I do not keep my oath. Welcome, Enzo.
And
yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a really big fan of like Italian gangster stories and that kind of genre. And I think this franchise has done a pretty good job. Although three, which has a great story, is a bit of a departure from the subject material. But I've liked the stories in all these games, even if the gameplay wasn't always my favorite. But the stories are always really strong. And I think, yeah, going back taking like essentially like, hey, let's kind of take the flashbacks from Godfather Part 2 and kind of build a game in that setting. I think that's a great idea.
And then next up we got Onimusha here, Way of the Sword.
Yeah, this is the last one I have. This is another Capcom one too.
Yeah, I remember playing the Onimusha games way back when it was on PS2. That's the last one.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 of them. Now I haven't really played them myself personally, but it's another one of those franchises I've always been aware of through just cultural osmosis. And I've always wanted to sit down and check them out. But hey, now we got a brand new one, kind of a new entry point for the franchise. And after this and Okami, both big Capcom games. Capcom has also said they're really committed to kind of going back and kind of reviving a lot of dormant IP that they have, and they've got a ton of old franchises, so many. Like we're just starting really here.
With the combat, do you think they're going with a lot of the modern style, the way combat is now, like with a lot of games?
I suspected that since it's Capcom, it's not gonna play like anything else. It's gonna have its own kind of unique set of mechanics.
It feels like I'm getting less
Oh, we gotta wait a
stupid by
minute
the
for this
minute.
game, 2026. We gotta wait a
Yeah, it's a ways off. It's a ways
minute.
off.
Okay. But Mafia, that's gonna come out in summer 2025, so that's gonna come up.
Supposedly, anyway.
Yeah, supposedly. But you do have that. Okay, so you do gotta wait a minute a little bit for that. But yeah, that was I think my most anticipated games there. I'd go with Intergalactic. I just want to see more of that game. And then I would say also, mm, maybe Onimusha. Onimusha,
It looks
and
cool.
I'm not the hugest Witcher. Again, I need to play Witcher 3, but Witcher 4 looks pretty exciting. Witcher 4. What about you?
My number one is the Untitled game from Team Ico. I love that studio. I really love all of their stuff. Even though it was a very brief tease, it is enough to send my mind wandering and send it into speculation mode about what's going on there. Just really striking imagery, color scheme, cinematic framing. And then yeah, after that, probably Intergalactic. That I think, even though they don't show a lot, it's Naughty Dog, and I trust them. I've liked all their stuff, so that's bad. And then Split Fiction is probably my number three. It Takes Two was absolutely fantastic, especially if you got somebody to play it with. Really, really amazing co-op games, and I've for years complained. I've been one of the chief complainers that the video game industry has moved away from two people sitting on the couch playing a split screen game without any online components. And that is a lost in the gaming industry. And this studio, Hazelight and Joseph Ferris, is like really especially committed to making games in that style. So that's a big one for me.
So that was the Game Awards 2024 there. All the big stuff from that. And of course, we'll be back 2025 Game Awards for that. So
Yeah, yeah.
see, we'll be nominated then.